you were in the business not just of building the trucks, but of building the infrastructure to fuel the trucks?
It was. That was the whole reason of Nikola. It was really an energy play. The point was to displace the oil companies. That was my goal and my dream was to either partner with or displace the oil companies entirely. And I have no problem with diesel. I think it's one of the greatest things America's ever found was diesel. It powers everything. It powers. You have diesel. Literally, you have you have this. It touches your life probably 100 times a day. I mean, even a piece of plastic has petroleum in it, right? There's everything about diesel it's the most efficient way of moving American goods for over 100 years. It's just the greatest thing America's ever seen. But there's also ways you can have both in this world. And that was my goal was to become essentially as powerful or as big as like an oil company, but not doing oil, but doing hydrogen. And that was my goal. That was really the idea is to eliminate the emissions on the road, become an energy conglomerate, and provide energy that's a residual income every month in your life. And that was what
is hydrogen produced at plants? I want to produce hydrogen to power a fleet of trucks. Where do I produce it?
You would have a plant that you would build, and it would be done. There's two different ways of doing it: through a proton exchange membrane, they call them PEMs, or through electrolysis. So those are the two main methods. And even like Chevron right now produces hydrogen, but it's like $20-something a kilogram. Well, that equates to $20 a gallon of diesel. So you'll never compete. The point of hydrogen is what you have to do is build it on site. So very similar to data centers. We were talking about data centers last night. The amount of energy that they're consuming for AI. And so what do? They go build them right next to They build them next to the nuclear plant now.
No, of course.
So it's the same thing with hydrogen. The only, we had the nuclear plant in Arizona was quoting us energy under 2 cents a kilowatt hour at the time. So that they can make it for $0.0125, a nuclear plant can. So what you're talking about if it's 2 cents a kilowatt hour, you're talking about, 2 cents a kilowatt, you're essentially producing hydrogen at about, you're producing hydrogen about $2 a kilogram. And at that point, you're half the cost of diesel. It's game over. The entire world everything would go hydrogen. And we were on the verge of that. And then that's when the forces that be came after us and decided to completely destroy us. It was the most wild event.
So it takes a lot of energy to produce hydrogen.
Ton. But it's okay because we have more energy than we know what to do with. Realistically, we do. Because, for instance, the grid can only handle so much energy. And so if you look at California will actually pay you to take their energy at parts of the day because they have too much of it from solar. Solar's fantastic in the West Coast and even in some other areas. But the problem is the sun comes out, it loads the whole grid full of energy, and then they have to start dumping it. So one great thing about hydrogen is that you can buffer the grid. You can say, send anything you want to the grid. Doesn't matter because any excess, we can produce hydrogen. And you can suck out hundreds of megawatts of energy from the grid, producing hydrogen and storing it. And then you can store it liquid as well. And then you can transport it from there. And that was the whole idea of hydrogen. It's not a one size fits all, but it's a solution to the major problems we have in America.
How dangerous is it to transport hydrogen?
Not dangerous at all to transport it. Most of the time they'll transport it in liquid form. And that's the best way to transport it. And it's very inexpensive to liquefy. It's about 50 cents a kilogram. So if you're $2 a kilogram and you can liquefy it for 50 cents, now you're $2.50 a kilogram. And you can move that anywhere in America at 8 to 16,000 kilograms at a time, just like an oil tanker is.
And it's as not more dangerous than an oil tanker.
It's more, I would say it's more dangerous, but it's nothing different than like transporting helium or any other gas, like natural gas. Like you see, no one knows that natural gas is being transported everywhere all the time, and it's extremely volatile. Hydrogen, the reason why hydrogen can be a little bit dangerous is that the molecule is so tiny. It's the smallest molecule out there. So the fittings have to be designed perfectly. The lines have to be inspected all the time. But one great thing about hydrogen is how light it is. So if you were to have an accident or something like that, it just goes straight into the atmosphere because of how light it is. Unlike propane where it settles.
Yes.
The real dangerous stuff is propane. That's like, because it settles below the air. And any spark will just, I mean, everyone doesn't even know that. I mean, they have a propane tank next to almost everyone's house in a lot of rural areas in America.
Oh, yeah.
That thing would.
We do right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had 8 of them at my cabin. So you have like eight 1,000 gallon propane tanks buried. Imagine if that went off, there would be nothing left of like an acre lot or 5 acre lot.
I have a lot of propane tanks and I never think about it at all.
So hydrogen's way safer than propane.
In fact, I always take my matches and light them off the propane tanks.
Do you?
No, just kidding.
Jeez.
No, but your point is a good one. I mean, people who live, far from anyone in rural America has a lot of propane around. A lot.
Anything new scares people until they realize it's not dangerous.
So we want to brag, but this has got to be the most pro-dog podcast on the entire internet. They're almost always dogs, actually, just off camera. So dogs are non-negotiable. Dogs are the best, and people who love dogs really, really love them. We can relate. And so for that reason, we are thrilled to announce a new partner called Dutch Pet. It's the fastest growing telehealth service for your pets. It's on a mission to create affordable, quality veterinary care at any time, no matter where you are. They'll get your beloved pet what they need, and they do it at a high speed. And by the way, if you ever brought your dog to the vet, the dog doesn't like it. They can smell the darkness sometimes. It's true. Sometimes you have to go to the vet, but if you can avoid it, you should, and you want to. And Dutch.com has vets who can treat over 150 animal conditions with just 10 minutes on the phone. You never have to leave home. You never have to scare or upset your dog. No wasted time. You don't have to wait weeks for an in-office appointment, and you don't waste money. Unlimited visits and follow-ups for no extra cost. Free shipping on all products for up to 5 pets. Membership starts as little as $11 per month, and Dutch.com saves most customers nearly $1,000 a year. We use it. It's awesome as dog owners. It sounds too good to be true, probably, but it's absolutely real. Visit Dutch.com/Tucker to learn more. Use the code Tucker for up to $50 off your veterinary care plan per year. That's a year of unlimited vet visits for $82 a year. Your pets and your wallet will thank you. This is going to change the game, and we're proud to be partnered with them.
Hydrogen.
So it's not directly connected to the hydrogen bomb. It's not the same as the hydrogen bomb.
No, philosophy is similar, but like a little bit different.
Just kidding. Okay, so you build this company. How does it do?
It does fantastic for a long time. We took this thing, we developed our first prototype, it was called the Nikola 1. It was our very first prototype. Semi-truck. We unveiled it in 2019.
Where'd you build it?
In Salt Lake City.
Wow.
At our facility. Yeah, it's really cool.
You built the truck at the facility?
We did, at the facility. We have hundreds of photos of us assembling, and it was all fabricated by our teams and people we hired to help us. So the frame was ours, the suspension was designed by our team and outside engineering partners, but we own the IP on or co-owned. It was just it was really cool. So you think about a Peterbilt or a Kenworth truck, right?
Yeah.
That it's taken them decades to design their trucks. We had an initial design of our truck that we built. So all the frame was ours, the suspension, the cab, everything. It was not a pile of crap, but it was a first prototype. It was rugged. I mean,
so you didn't just take a Peterbilt and throw your logo on it?
No. It was entirely from ground up our truck. It was beautiful, but it was it wasn't ready for production. It was a prototype. And all the parts, this is where the world didn't know, and I'm going to tell you a little later about how the short sellers came after us and the government did. But what they don't know is that truck was actually real and it functioned. And they sold this huge lie that this truck was fake, but it was really real. So let's go through that. The suspension was real. The air ride system was real. The entire frame system was real. The cab was real. The power steering was real. The batteries were real. We had the first 800-volt battery on a semi truck that I knew of in the world, and we tested it. We tested the battery, 800 volts. It worked. Everything was fine. So the e-axles were real. The case was real. We had the rotors and stators and gears. Everything was real. All this stuff was real in this truck, and what's crazy is when, later on we ended up doing a commercial and we're like, oh yeah, go ahead and use it for commercial. No problem. You see the Chevy Camaro turning into Bumblebee on the Transformers. It's you don't think that GM's defrauding everyone because the Camaro becomes Bumblebee. You're like, it's a commercial or it's a movie. Who cares? This is what it's used for. I was like, yeah, go ahead and use it. Who cares? So they used our truck in a commercial and they rolled it down a hill. All the parts worked on it, could have powered itself if we wanted to. We probably would have taken a month's worth of work to make sure it was safe enough to maybe 2 months to make sure it was safe enough to drive all on its own. But the truck functioned. It was real. And this was the lie that destroyed my life. This was the moment that destroyed my life. Because later on, the short sellers sold it to the government that this truck was fake and it never worked. And that message was so sexy that this truck was rolling down the hill that no one cared about the facts. They cared about this headline: Nikola rolls a truck down a hill. And that's what ended up. Allowing these people, all these evil people, to destroy the company, destroy me, make hundreds of millions of dollars in profit, and the government to indict me, was this big fat lie by the short sellers that the truck didn't function.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. We hope you'll subscribe to it. And by the way, you can hit the little bell on there and get notifications every time we produce a video. We hope you'll do that also.